This Cookout 400 betting picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks and projections are now live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Oh, yeah, baby. It is time to talk racing things. It's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, as Walter has said. Welcome back, boys. It's been a long 2 weeks, but Walter, where you been, bud? We haven't been gone.
We've still been here.
We've still been here. But
although you have to remind me, how does this work? We make picks for races that are gonna happen. What?
You see,
almost forgot how to do it, Rod.
The premise of the show, Cody, is that there's a race that comes up, and then it is our job to give people picks. So, yeah, gotta love it.
Kush checking in the chat. What up, guys? What up, Kush? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Yeah, race week once again, friends. We've almost made it there, finally, to racing again. Fucking Debbie better keep her ass in the ocean, Rod. I swear to God. Just stay out there and go away. That's what I'm saying. So yeah,
no weather, please.
As Charles says, thank God we're back. Unfortunately, so is the rain. Yeah, hopefully, Debbie will change her course and go back out to sea or something and avoid the Richmond area. But we'll probably talk about that in a little bit.
The weekend that it's time to come back, and that's the weekend that it decides to rain really hard. Like I did
notice, it hit the Hall of Fame game while we were gone. So
yes, oh my God, yes.
It's it's Mother Nature just doesn't love sports, I guess.
Not even three quarters of a football game in, and all of a sudden here we are. Yeah, I'm hoping. We're all hoping that Richmond stays dry this weekend, and that we can get a race in because it has already been too long without it. And if we have to wait until Monday to race, I think there will be an upheaval, and we may just move all NASCAR events to indoor. We're going to make indoor driving a thing.
There you go. Then we can go year round if it's indoor.
That's what I'm saying. Thunderdome. That'll be where we're at. Hey, by the way, speaking of driving and racing and all that, I want to give a special shout out to Shifty IPA, who will be the official beer. I know this is not the truck series. So the shifties aren't out in effect, but I figured this was apropos. We're coming back racing again. I might as well go ahead and drink myself a shifty beer.
I like it. Yeah, you'll need one for Wednesday's episode, or Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see when we get odds. But for the truck series, when we're back there, rolling race news checking in. Mr. James says thanks again for stepping up. Pit reporting Saturday night greatly exceeded my expectations for a first time. Well, you set the low, and then it makes it easy. So. Shout out to James. I appreciate him. He's one of the announcers out at local Eagle Raceway, and I got the opportunity to fill in as the pit reporter, infield reporter, which was a pretty fun time. I need to share a couple more of those videos over on my X because it was a really good time. Had a lot of fun. Gonna be back in 2 weeks to do it again. So if you are one of the local listeners, I know there are a few people that listen in the area. Actually, go out and check it out. It's always a great place, and it was a lot of fun. That was my first time. I was telling you before the show, Rod, my first time like behind a live microphone in front of people, right? Like this is a live microphone, but I'm just sitting in my basement. So it's I can't see all of you people out there listening. So it makes it a little easier. But yeah, it was a good time. So shout out to James for that. I appreciate it. And Rod, he did tell me that this all started with a Corey LaJoie bet. So I believe that one of his first few episodes, he listened, and I gave out a Corey. Give us the story again, James. I believe that's how it was. But basically, it gave out a Corey LaJoie bet. He hit it. Now he's a lifelong fan, and here we are.
And here you are, though. I mean, look at you, nailed that. The in-game stuff was some of the stuff I loved. I did it for baseball. I did it for hockey, and I absolutely adored every second of doing the in-game stuff. But you, brother, it felt like a natural. You knew what you were doing. It was all right there. Love it. So.
Well, you've got 469 episodes of training me how to do it, so I appreciate that. But Nico checking in from down under. Our boys are back with some pep in their step. Must be race week. Let's fucking go. I am like more excited. I'm always excited for the show, obviously, but more excited today because it's like, God, it feels like it's been away forever. I saw the deal going around yesterday. This is our, last weekend without racing until mid-November, which is great, or late November, really, if you count F1 in there. So, yeah, I'm pumped for that. That's right. James says, it was the Corey bet. So I think this was the Daytona 500, if I'm not mistaken, because he ran the Chili's car. I said something about not knowing if we had a Chili's. He creeped to my socials, found out I was a Lincolnania, and here we are. So, Brian, we're officially back when we're watching weather forecasts. Accurate. Will checking in. Who drives the 7 car in 2025 with a bunch of question marks? We're going to save that question, Ross. Yeah. This will be our first question for tomorrow. Thank you, Will. Tomorrow, obviously, we're a little bit off on the schedule, right? This is a Monday for the pick show. Odds are out nice and early, which we shout out to the books. They were out last week, even a little bit early. So got plenty of options, got the full slate of things. No recap show to do, obviously, with no race. So we're going to do the Cup Picks show today. Tomorrow, we're going to be live around 4 o'clock in the Central Time, 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Fill in the blanks from there. I guess the Mountain Time is the only one I left out. 3 o'clock for you Mountain Timers. Join us on our YouTube page at NASCAR Gambling, and we're going to be taking it's AMA. Ask us questions, whether you want it to be who drives the 7 car in 2025, championship future bet for this weekend, personal questions to certain degrees, whatever it is. Pop in and ask us questions. You can also toss those in the Discord and in the X if you're not going to be able to catch us live. But send us the questions and join us live tomorrow. It's just going to be a free open show for you guys to get in and ask questions and have a good time.
Yeah, we haven't done anything a lot that fun in a very long time, so we'll do that. But I also have to say, it's been a long time when we forget when to hit the brakes. Sports Gambling Podcast launched their 32 NFL team previews. As a bonus, each team preview is going to include a code word. Submit the 32 code word phrase, and you can be the lucky winner who gets a $500 NFL Circa Future bet. You can subscribe to the main show, the Sports Gambling Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, including this one. And, of course, if you don't know where to do it, just go to the SGPN app. You'll find it right there. Yeah, like Cody said, we are going to be doing the AMA tomorrow, so make sure you have all of your questions ready. And if you can't, like Cody said, throw them in Discord. Give us to us on Twitter. However you want to get them, you can get them to us, and we'll have some fun answering questions and essentially just hanging out. I mean, the bosses and us, we do like a happy hour type of a thing, and we've never really done that before, so we figured that the open episode is a good time. But, of course, to answer some of your betting-related questions because that's exactly what we want to do. All right, Cody, it is the Cookout 400 over here at Richmond, and we are set for 400 laps around this track. And we've already been here once before, earlier in the season. So
this is our first second trip, right? So first time this season we're coming back to a track that we've already been to.
Yep, 400 miles around this 0.750 paved track for 300 miles. It's 400 laps, 300 miles around this track. A lot of fun to be had on this little short track racing, especially get the blood pumping again after being gone for so long, right? Why not just toss them into the deep end here when it comes to short track racing? But yeah, we've been here before already, and we know that Toyotas are essentially the dominant force in the spring. It's not really the case though in the fall, but we'll talk about that in a second. Cody, what is the What does the entry list look like?
Is this the fall, Rod? Can we consider this the fall? It's like 1,000 degrees outside.
So the question remains this, right? It's any race that's not in the spring. It's always considered fall, but you're right. This is like summer. So, yeah.
King checking in. How late am I? Not late at all. We're just bullshitting, really. So here we are. We haven't got into the picks yet, if that's what you're wondering. So welcome to the episode. Entry list, Rod. We do have 37 entries for this Cup race at Richmond. Riley Herbst is going to be in the 15 car. No Xfinity this week, so he'll stay busy with that. Congrats to the Custers, by the way. Cole had and his wife, they welcomed a son this week, so shout out to them. Ty Dillon is going to be in the 16 car for Colleague. Parker Retzlaff is going to be in the 66 car, making his Cup Series debut. I thought this was interesting, and I when this entry list came out, I tossed in the Discord and I go, why even? I get the seat time thing, right? You want to have seat time, but like you could go out there in a Ford Focus and be faster than that 66 car is. Like, it's so bad. But the deal behind this is Parker Retzlaff wanted to make his Cup Series debut at Daytona with Beard Motorsports, but NASCAR will not allow him to make that start without having raced in a next-gen car. Prior to that, well, here is the race prior to that where he is getting his time in. So, yeah, that's the deal there. That's why he's going to be in the 66 car this weekend. So that is the reason for that, and it will be very slow. Don't play him in anything, DFS or anything. But, yeah, and then one other notable thing here on the entry list, Christopher Bell's car chief, Chris Sherwood, is going to be listed as a crew chief this weekend. He'll have him for a few weeks. This is not a permanent change. The reason for that, Adam Stevens, Christopher Bell's crew chief, suffered an injury while on vacation and had to have surgery to repair both knees. So Chris Sherwood, Bell's car chief, will serve as the crew chief at the track for the next few weeks. Stevens did release a statement. I hate that I won't be back at the track for a few weeks, but I will be fully engaged remotely. Very thankful for the depth and strength of this 20 team. Don't anticipate my physical absence having any effect on our performance. The surgery went well. So, I mean, we've seen this before when guys get suspended. Sometimes I think maybe it's even more of an advantage for them to be back in the control center and really be able to take everything in. So probably not a horrible thing for that team, but my goodness, I don't know what you have to do on vacation to have surgery on both your knees. Sounds like some type of, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do, I guess, where, it impacts obviously both of your knees, but oof, that's rough for him. So glad that surgery went well, and seems like Adam Stevens is okay, but that is definitely notable.
I don't know that my vacation would be that intense. I could not break. I'm not the only.
But then I think about it, Rod, and I'm like, what if he just like jumped off the couch towards the kids and like that just did it in? Like, when you get a little bit older, things just start hurting and you land wrong and it just goes. I'm gonna guess ATV incident. I mean, really, I don't even want to speculate, I guess, because it could be so many different things. Like there was some type of accident, I would imagine, on something or doing something, and that's what led to that. But oof, that's rough.
I think the only thing that would have me breaking both of my knees is if my drink slipped from my hand and I tried to roll out of the chair that I was in, the lazy boy chair, too fast and like collapse. That would be the only thing that would break my knees. And so, yeah, we got that. King saying I'd slap a 66 sticker on my tricycle and have more speed.
You're not wrong.
I'm not,
and then he's speculating that Stevens got 2 into the Olympics. So maybe that's what happened. He missed that bet and got a little overexcited. But
speaking of Olympics, Cody, you had your first women's water polo taste.
Yeah. Woof, went 3 for 4 was it?
Yeah.
And then so that was a lot of fun. I did have a couple of other things relating to Richmond here. So Bob Pockris was tweeting about the weather. NASCAR's going to monitor the weather conditions as they have a few days before needing to make any decisions. The garage isn't scheduled to open until Saturday. It is a short haul, obviously, from Charlotte to Richmond. For the haulers, the Cup haulers enter Friday late afternoon. The truck haulers will be Saturday morning. So we'll, again, have to stay tuned and just kind of see how all that goes. Obviously, hurricanes, it changes a lot. If you followed a hurricane or anything with hurricanes before, they can change. The paths change. The damage changes. So things could change and stuff going forward. So that will be notable. And then there is a 45-minute practice instead of 20 minutes so that they can test the softer tire options. this is going to be the first points race where we're going to have this tire option. They're going to have 2 sets of the softer option tires for the race, 6 sets of standard. And yes, they will have some sets of wet weather tires as well. Again, wet weather tires, not race in the rain tires, wet weather tires. So that very much could come into play, of course, this weekend. No rules on how many sets of tires they'll have to use, although with 6 sets of stickers plus 1 set of scuffs of the standard tires, very well might need to use at least 1 set of the softer tires. And because you go right into qualifying, more likely, more time likely not needed because no big adjustments is what Bob had said. So yeah, they will have that softer option tire, and then also the more normal tire, and then so NASCAR had their thing here. They can't mix tires, which obviously makes a lot of sense.
2 softs and two regulars. That would be a heck of a combination.
So the softer option tire will reward more short-term grip, balanced against the risk of long-term less durability. The baseline prime tire will provide more lasting ride with potentially less grip in its harder compound. So that softer prime tire is going to be for a short, or the softer tire is going to be for a short run. Prime tire is going to be for a longer run, which could really fuck everything up. Depending, I think this is going to lead to a lot more gambling, which could gamble your gambles, I guess, and definitely mix things up there. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're placing your bets this weekend.
Be a lot of fun to watch, though. I love me some tire strategies. It's something that NASCAR is. I'm glad they're embracing it because I want to see more of that. Speaking of more of that, let's get to the races and let's get to the bets. Let's get to all of that. But first, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy just launched Underdog Streaks. Hit your first 2 pick'em entries and then go streaking. We're going streaking. I'm not. You don't want to see that, especially on camera. If you go 11-0 on an 11-0 run, you can win up to 1,000 times. Plus, Best Ball Mania is live now with $15 million in prizes. And they just added another college football contest for Best Ball. You can also now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. We're going to give you all sorts of... We're back, baby, to give an Underdog Fantasy plays. We're going to do that for you later this week. So sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Game Time is back with us. We love to go watch sporting events. We love to go watch concerts. We love to go watch anything that you got to buy a ticket. What we don't love is buying tickets for those events. But never mind and never fear, because Game Time now is stepping up to make all of that less stressful for you. You have plenty of time to buy these tickets because they have all the best deals on last-minute tickets. You get the Game Time guarantee price. You get the lowest fees. You get flash deals, you get zone deals, you get all-in pricing, which means that feature is going to go all the total up front. You don't get any surprises at checkout. There's so many great reasons to use Game Time. Make sure you find your special reason to. And, of course, like we say, save money watching that event that you were going to go watch anyways. All that, too, and they give you a picture of where you're going to be sitting. I mean, it's not signed and it doesn't have you sitting in it, but you can at least get a view of what you're going to see when you sit down in those prices. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Cody, it is now time to start talking about the bets for this Cookout 400, which I am super excited about.
It is time, Ron. I'm excited just because racing is back. Going to be exciting. And I am this option tire. I'm very interested, right? We've not seen a ton of great short track racing. I think this is going to be something that's going to help. The timing is going to be everything on this, right? If you put on that shorter tire or that softer tire for the speed and you get the right caution or you're in the right position, I think that it could play a big factor. Maybe we just end up doing the whole thing on rain tires anyways, and it doesn't matter. So we'll have to see, but it is going to be exciting. Kush was talking about jumping off the couch equals laying on the floor. Yeah, that very well could have been the injury there. John Little checking in. Fellas, racing is back. What's up, John? Glad to have you. And then Walter wants to know what's up with practice being on NBC Sports app and not on TV. The continued moving of everything to streaming apps basically would be my best guess. I don't know when Olympics ends. I've not paid that close attention to it, so
it's August. I think it's got like another week or another few days left. So
yeah. So if practice is going while there's still Olympic stuff going on, they might have all that coverage on Olympic stuff. That could be wise. So I'd have to check more into the schedule there. But Rod, it is time to get into the bets. Here we go. I'm going to start off Denny Hamlin, top 3 over on FanDuel plus 170. Denny Hamlin is really fucking good at Richmond. He won here in the spring. And we only led 17 laps. It was an overtime win, but he won here, so we're going to count that. Second place in the fall here last season. Last spring, he was 20th place, but led 71 laps that day. 4th place in the fall of 2022. Before that, first in the spring of 22, second in the spring of in the fall of 21, second. I'm just going to read. First, second. 5 of the last 7 races here, he's finished inside the top 2. Rod, pretty good. 6 of the last 7, he has been inside of the top 4. Really good here. 35 starts, 15 podium finishes, 15 times he's finished inside the top 3 at Richmond. He is really good here. Now, Denny Hamlin's been on a bit of a rough stretch. 1 finished better than 12th in the last 7 races. But we've had some weird stuff going on. We've had some different track styles and to kind of highlight Richmond again, shorter, flatter track. We've been on the big tracks lately, right? Indy, Pocono. Although, at the end of Indy, he was right there in the mix. Doesn't have enough gas. So, yes, result not indicative. We had Chicago Street Course in there. Pocono, which he was good at, but until he wasn't. And so, yeah, he's on a bad streak right now, but not overly worried about that. You go back and you look at some of the shorter tracks. Second place at Gateway, 1 at Dover, 1 here in the spring. He led 68 laps at Phoenix. I like all those things. His track history here is good. The Toyotas are always good here. Give me Denny Hamlin, top 3 plus 170.
It's almost hard at this point, especially as you start to come down to the end of the season, to even try to not put Hamlin somewhere in your betting card. And I think a top 3 is about the best value, because you look at the top 5 price, it's like hammered down to negative. I saw a negative and I was like, nope. Yeah. And then top 10 for sure. It's like I
don't go top 3s too often, but this is one where I just feel so confident in Denny. And I'm going to talk more about Denny later, but this gives you that little bit of a cushion if Martin Truex gets it done, or if Christopher Bell gets it done, or Kyle Larson gets it done. Hamlin, I think, is going to be in the mix at the end of this. I think the tire deal actually maybe is a bit of an advantage to Denny, because he's so good at managing tires. If he can play that strategy right, in the NFL, we'd like to talk about Andy Reid off a bye week, having extra time to prepare, stuff like that. Denny Hamlin having extra time to prepare, extra time in practice. All of these things are things that I like, because Denny Hamlin's one of the best out there right now, we know, and he's really, really fucking good at Richmond. Home track for him. He's from not too far from there in Virginia. So, yeah, love Denny Hamlin this week, and his top 3 at plus 170. Just too good over on FanDuel there.
Indeed. All right, I'm taking a stab. Speaking of too good on FanDuel, I'm so glad, Cody, because I always forget to check FanDuel. Like, I always forget. They don't.
Even though we're going early, but like Bet365 didn't have anything out other than outright, so forced me to look around a little more this week. Superbook obviously has folded shop and closed and gone away, which is sad. So I was looking around more, and FanDuel, we're gonna give out quite a few things. If I'd just log into your FanDuel account now if you're wanting to place bets as we talk, because they've got some massive differences to some other places. And I think that after tonight or tomorrow, when these things start getting out there, you're not going to continue to see that. So you're going to want to place some of these bets earlier rather than later.
Yeah, well, this is one of them, because I found this one at like plus 480. I think on Caesars is what it is. But Noah Gragson, top 10, 7-1 on FanDuel. 7-1 on FanDuel. He placed 9th last week at Indy. That's a good run. 10th at Nashville. I'm not even counting Chicago. He crashed out of Pocono, so not good for him there. But you look at 9th at Kansas, 6th at Dover, 12th at Richmond earlier in the season. He was only 2 spots outside of a top 10 finish earlier this year in that 10 car. I'm throwing everything he did out in the 42 car. Don't even care about it. Don't even want to think about it. But 6th at Vegas, 12th at Phoenix. Gragson's been in the mix for a top 10 a lot this season. 7 top 10s out of 22 starts. But, that 16th at Iowa, 14th at Darlington, and then, like I said, 12th at Richmond. But he's been in around the top 10. And I think this run at Indy was a really good run for him, considering that fact that he had that 10th place at Nashville and then turned around with that 14th at Chicago. But obviously that was a road race. It's a lot different of a situation anyways. But I really feel last week feels like last year. That is definitely true.
That's very accurate.
Yeah. But yeah, for Noah Gragson, I mean, we know, and we've talked about him at length as far as how good he was in the Xfinity Series and how good he was everywhere. So it didn't matter where he was, whether it was a short track, whether it was a road course, whether it was a super speedway. Noah Gragson was racking up the wins in the top 5s, let alone the top 10. So you look at the speed chart going into this with our friends at iFantasy Race. It's the shorter, flatter track speed rankings heading into it. Notice it's 17th, but he does have a couple of spots that he was within the realm of the top 10. 7th at Phoenix earlier, 12th, like we said, at Richmond, which is actually his speed ranking as well. So again, the potential is there for Noah Gragson to be able to find his way into a top 10. And for the love of God, a 7-1 number for Noah Gragson to find the top 10. It's an SHR car. We know number 10 hasn't been all that fast, but my God, 7-1 for a guy that's, finished top 10 last week.
SHR, short flats, those things have always seemed to work in the past. This is a big number for Gragson. So, yeah, I agree with you. I really like this one.
Beautiful. All right, let's I noticed you paused because you're going to give me a chance to do this. That way we can go commercial free the rest of the way.
Knew I was talking too long on that first break, Rod. I figured they'd give us a break because I wanted to finish my point. This time I'll make sure we get it in on time.
Hey, I'm not the one that makes the rules, man. I try to follow them. But all right, we'll come back with our next set of bets. But first, let me tell you about Rhythm. Football season is here, and the college football and NFL models are live now on Rhythm. Create your own winning bet model or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most to you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that. Or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. So definitely get in there and claim that 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Circa Millions and Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Look, imagine the regret that you're going to feel if you win your office survivor pool, but you don't even enter Circa Survivor. Who does that? Not you. Plus, if you don't have a book trip for Las Vegas yet before football, Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go. Hang with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Use promo code SGP15 to save 15% on your hotel room for sign-up weekend. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy. We even have a deal with a proxy. Here's the deal. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com. You can save $50 with promo code SGP. So when you start reading and like your brain has not caught up with what you're reading yet, that is what happens in those live ad reads. Sometimes my eyes get too far ahead of me and I'm like, slow down, brain, slow down.
That'll happen, Rod. Happens to the best of us, obviously, because you are the best of us. So,
well, you're
all right. King says you weren't sounding it out. So if you work on that next time. All right, Rod. Next up for me, gonna go over to Caesars. They've got some groups over there. I'm gonna go to Group D. It's a bigger group. There's 5 drivers in this, which I don't necessarily love, but I do like Justin Haley this week. So he's a plus 310 to win Group D over there. So for just to start off with Justin Haley, I felt like it's sort of been a rough last few weeks for him, but really it hasn't. Like 20th at Indy, 22nd at Pocono, 16th at Chicago, 13th at Nashville. Those are all pretty decent runs. Again, this is a Rick Ware racing car. He continues to do well in this car. And for the most part, he's been having solid results. Go back and you look at some of the shorter, flatter tracks we've been at. 13th place at Iowa. That's the type of upside you're getting. 9th place at Gateway you love. Even a 17th at Bristol, not bad runs like that. that's kind of what I'm expecting from Justin Haley this week. And the guys in this group, just none of them do anything to excite me. You've got Austin Dillon. He can be hit or miss, right? We kind of know how he is, but nothing excites me about Austin Dillon. He's kind of the heavy favorite in this group. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in this group as well. He's the epitome of hit or miss, right? He'll finish 5th or he'll finish 32nd, and there's like no in between, it seems like, but he just doesn't scare me a ton. He's had some success lately, but I don't see that kind of continuing. Eric Jones, the back's still broken. Maybe we'll talk at the Southern 500. We'll see. Not overly impressed with Legacy, so I'm not too worried about that there. And then Ryan Preece, I forgot he was in the Cup Series route. So that's really all the thoughts I have on him. But I like Justin Haley this week. I've got another bet on him here in a few minutes. But he really popped out to me when I was looking through these groups of at plus 310. You're still getting a good number on him, but he could easily beat all 4 of these guys. Then you don't need him to get a top 10 for you to cash this bet. Honestly, he might be able to finish 20th and still cash this for you. And he's been having very consistent weeks, very solid. I mean, really, you go back 20th, 22nd, 16th, 13th, 29th in New Hampshire, right? Some stuff happens, but 13th, 33, but that was a road course. 9th, 22nd, 9th, 18th, 23rd, 34th. Well, that was Talladega. Like, they've been solid, consistent finishes. He continues to get the most out of that Rick Ware equipment. That partnership with RFK seems to be paying off. We think the RFK guys should be pretty good here, as they have been continuously. So give me Justin Haley, Group D on Caesars at plus 310. That's over Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, not Brandon Jones, Eric Jones, and Ryan Preece.
That's right. It's like me saying Cody Rhodes every time I try to bring up Ben Rhodes. It's just, yeah, I feel bad because that's where I'm at nowadays in my head, but gotta love it. Yeah, look, for Haley, it's one of those things where the guys the guys in this group are not necessarily the heavy hitters of the bunch. So all he's got to do is just hang tight and hold serve with what he's been doing. I think he's got
this is sort of like your shitbox group, I guess you could say, but Haley just doesn't feel like a shitbox anymore. It feels like that car's decent. And again, I don't think it needs to be that good of a day. If he can finish 13th, 15th, that should clear it, unless one of these guys just has a great day. And really, Dillon and Stenhouse are the ones that maybe could do that. I don't see it from Jones or Preece.
Yep. He has ascended, has Haley. We love it. You talked about the RFK guys. All right, I'll bring them both up then. Buescher, Keselowski, both of them. Caesars has this fun little both in the top 10 or both in the top 5 or whatever. But we're going to put Buescher and Keselowski both in the top 10. Let's set our sights a little bit low in something that they actually did earlier in the spring. So both Buescher and Keselowski inside the top 10. You can get this at plus 150 over on Caesars. Look at their average finishes. I'm just going to start with their average finishes this season. And we know the litany of tracks that these guys have had to drive on, whether it's road course, street course, super speedway, underwater. They've had to do it all, right? And through all of that, Chris Buescher, 14.3, his average finish. I know it's not top 10, but at the same time, 14.3 with all of the stuff that they had to go through up to and including the 18th at Daytona, the 37th at Las Vegas, which was kind of terrible, but 25th at Talladega, right? The 30th at Darlington, 23rd at Charlotte, all these stuff that's dragging him down. But you also look at 9th place at Richmond. Oh, guess what? That's where they're at this week. So that was good. But a 7th at Bristol, 2nd at Phoenix, 2nd at Kansas, 3rd in Sonoma, which is of course a road course, but 5th at Loudon, 5th at Nashville, 11th at Pocono. Didn't have a good day at Indianapolis, but I'm not necessarily going to equate that track with that. So, yeah, I'm really banking on the 5th at New Hampshire and the 5th at Nashville and the 11th at Pocono as sort of like that, where I feel like he's at. We know he's capable of a top 10 each and every time he steps out on the track. So his top 10 number alone was not good enough for me to touch. So I'm going to just, like I said, bundle up with his teammate, Brad Keselowski. We think these guys are going to be running together through the end of the race. Yeah, you know why? What's Brad Keselowski's average finish? 14.7. 0.4 spots away from his teammate, Chris Buescher. You want to talk about them running all over and close to each other? That is definitely how it does. Up to and including Richmond, where, guess what? Earlier in the spring, Brad Keselowski, 8th place finish, 1 spot above Chris Buescher. So both of them did it again in the spring earlier already. And again, 7th at Pocono for Keselowski, 10th at Iowa, 3rd at Gateway, 2nd at Charlotte. He won Darlington, 2nd at Texas, 8th at Richmond, like I said, 3rd at Bristol, 4th at Phoenix. Some solid runs for Brad Keselowski, 10 top 10 finishes in 22 starts. I'm telling you, this just feels like one where these Fords are going to be good, and both of those RFK Fords are going to be the part of the class of the field. So, yeah, and they're hitting all the right spots. They got all the right momentum going. So I can see one of them getting in the top 10, and if I can see one of them, then obviously you can see both of them getting in the top 10 to repeat what they did in the spring. So plus 150 for both those drivers in the top 10.
Yeah, I like this. They generally tend to be right by each other like they were in the spring. I was going to try and fade Chris Buescher on a bet, and I couldn't do it because his results have not been bad lately. And on this style of track, he's actually been really good. And Keselowski's been firing on all cylinders. So no argument there. King saying, does Priest have a top 15 or 20 all year? Serious question. He actually does have a few decent finishes. Nashville, he finished 4th. Now, it took 17 overtimes for him to finish there, but hey, he did. 11th at New Hampshire, which is a short flat, and 9th at Martinsville, which is a short flat. So I will give him credit on that. Obviously, he's a modified guy, but I have no belief in Ryan Preece, and he does. If he beats me in that group, fine, let it be. But I'm not going to lose sleep at night knowing that he's in that group by any means, Rod. So speaking of Ryan Preece, we'll kick it over to his teammate, Josh Berry. Oh, I'm getting on the train here, Rod, so don't let me down. Josh Berry, top 5. Now, this one, you want to go over to BetMGM, you get a significantly better number over there. Top 5 for Josh Berry, plus 400 on BetMGM. I like that. I really wanted to do a top 10 on Josh Berry, but number is not great anywhere for him. He had an 11th place finish here in the spring, so decent run there. Of course, it's not too far outside of the top 5. He did finish 2nd place here last spring in the number 9 car, filling in for Chase Elliott when he was injured. That was a big strategy call. It got him up there, but big strategy call. We're going to have the tire deal this weekend. They need to gamble. That could all come into play, and he proved to us. Now, granted, that was in the 9 car, and this is the 4 car, but the 4 car is not the worst car in the world, right? That once he was able to get that track position, he was able to hold on to it and get that 2nd place finish. That's what I'm looking for Josh Berry this week. He finished 3rd place at New Hampshire. Great run there, short flat. 7th place at Iowa. Of course, 11th here in the spring, like I mentioned earlier. So love Josh Berry, top 5 at 4-1. And then Rod, back on the KFB train. Let's go. Kyle Busch, 4-1. Also over on BetMGM for a top 5 finish. And it's been rough for Kyle Busch lately, right? It's well documented. We know, we get it. But I'm still a believer in Kyle Busch. I'm still a believer that Kyle Busch is great and that there's a lot of potential over there. I finished 20th here in the spring. Not exactly the best result, but he has been really good here. Here is his results over the last quite a few races, Rod. 20th in the spring, but before that, 3rd, 14th, 9th, 9th, 8th, 6th, 2nd, 8th, 1st, 9th, 14 top 5 finish, or no, rather 19 top 5 finishes in 35 races. More than half the time he's raced here, he's finished inside the top 5. He's been top 10 in 15 of the last 17 races. That is a lot of consistency. Now, I know earlier this spring he wasn't, but this isn't plus 200 or plus 110. It's plus 400, 4-1, right? So you're getting a good number. Now, Ryan over at iFantasy Race pointing out that his short flat track finish average this season, 29.4, which is worse than Corey LaJoie. That's not a great statistic to have. But it's Kyle Busch. He can get it done. He's been good here in the past. 4th at Dover. You're getting that extra practice time. That comes into play for Kyle Busch. And Kyle Busch, I would have to go back and like rewatch these races, but there's been so many races this season where Kyle Busch is top 10 hanging out kind of throughout the day or parts of the day. And then Kyle Larson gets into him at Gateway and ruins the day, or he just spins out by himself. He's got Corey LaJoie syndrome where he just all of a sudden, oh, there goes a car spinning. It's Kyle Busch. Like nobody's within 30 yards of him and he just wrecks. It's ridiculous. But Kyle Busch can get it done. I don't think these RCR cars are horrible. We've seen him and Dylan have some good runs this season. They always seem to get spoiled, right? And NBC will bring it up time and time again. Oh, he's having a great day. Is he finally out? Oh, no, then the fucking piano falls out of the sky, right? Something happens. But I believe in Kyle Busch. I think the number's right at 4-1 for the top 5. So give me Kyle Busch 4-1 for the top 5 over on BetMGM, and then Josh Berry as well, also 4-1 over on BetMGM.
I love that everybody thinks that Kyle Busch spent the break getting cleansed. Cody got the inside info that KFB went to the temples over the break and had the curse removed. So everybody
he was over, like he was in like Italy or something. I saw some Instagram posts. So yes, maybe he went to a different country, had an exorcism performed over the break. Hey, I don't care what it takes, just get it done. I still, you know what, the sign from a few weeks ago, still sitting here on the desk. Free Kyle Busch, baby. This is the week Kyle Busch getting out of the doghouse. And I mentioned earlier, Denny, right? You get that extra bye week, time to prepare. Yeah, he was out of the country. Yeah, he was traveling. He wants to do good. I promise you he was preparing. And he's a great, great driver. If they have to gamble to get it done, maybe they have to gamble. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. 4-1, worth the gamble for me.
Kyle Busch's dad came by and threw a cougar in his car and said, "You can only drive if the cougar stays calm." And that was how he managed to get calm over the weekend. All right, somebody that doesn't need a cougar in their car to drive calm, and that's Tyler Reddick. I'm going to take him as a top 5 car. FanDuel has this at plus 220, so you're getting a little over twice your money. You're going to double up if Tyler Reddick does manage to finish inside of the top 5. I mean, Tyler Reddick, if you read off his finishes since Darlington, 4th at Charlotte, 4th at Gateway, 8th at Sonoma, 22nd at Iowa, 6th in New Hampshire, 3rd at Nashville, 2nd at Chicago, 6th at Pocono, 2nd at Indy. Tyler Reddick's hitting. And to get 2-1 or just a little over 2-1 on him to do something that he's done so many times already. We're talking 3 of the last 4 races, and in 5 of the last 7, you had to go and there was only one spot separating him from the top 5 in that as well. The only argument here is that Tyler Reddick has not necessarily done all that well at Richmond in the past, right? He's got an average finish of 16.4. He finished 10th here in the spring, but he did start on the pole, led 81 laps in 2023. Fortunately, that race didn't end very well for him, and he did not get a good finish at the end of it. But again, we know that Tyler Reddick is fast. How fast is he? Total speed rankings, our buddies over at iFantasy Race heading into this race, he's 3rd after Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson. He is the 3rd fastest car as far as speed ranking is concerned heading into this across all tracks, right? So this is just him being fast all over the place. And then if we look at another shorter, flatter track, total 24 speed rankings heading into there, Tyler Reddick sits 5th right now. He was 1st in speed rankings at Phoenix, 15th at Richmond, 5th at Gateway, 14th at Iowa, 8th at New Hampshire. So again, Tyler Reddick is going to be fast in this race. I know he's locked into the playoffs, so he doesn't have to necessarily worry about winning, which is a good thing for that 45 team. Because guess what? They can play around with these tire strategies. They can mess around a little bit and try to get all the playoff points that they can, because now that they're in it, they want to improve on their positioning, and they want to make sure they make it through to the next round, right? So all that does is just open it up for you to say, all right, look, we get a late caution. We've got one set of soft tires to go, and there's only, 14, 15 laps to go or whatever. There's not going to be very many cautions in this race. I'll tell you right now, if you look historically, 5, we maybe get 5 or 6. So 4 cautions that aren't, or 3 cautions that aren't stage break related. So this is going to come down to strategy as well at this. So I definitely think that Tyler Reddick's team is one that could play around with that tire strategy and get there. We know Toyotas are fast on this track. So again, Tyler Reddick plus 220 on FanDuel. You can get this one on FanDuel as a top 5 car. I definitely love the value in that because, like I said, I think he's going to be one of the faster cars all day. I think he's going to have an opportunity to find his way to the top 5, whether that's through strategy or through attrition. If we do get a late caution that takes out some cars, and like I said, we're not going to get many, but maybe the ones that we get are effective enough to get him inside the top 5. So Tyler Reddick plus 220, top 5.
Oh, you know how much I love Tyler Reddick, Rod. 10th is his best career finish at Richmond. That scares me a lot, but he's been on fire lately. We know that he can get it done. I don't know if plus 220 is a big enough number, but as far back to your point of what they're fighting for, only 15 points outside of the regular season point standings lead right now. 15 playoff points come with winning that. So that'll be huge for the team if they can get it done. I would expect for them to put a pretty good effort into it. And yeah, just, man, he's not been good here in the past necessarily, but like you mentioned, he's been getting better, right? Had a really good run last summer, I guess you could say, in this same race where he led those 81 laps, then the 10th place finish is best of his career last time out. So I do like that. I'm going to jump over into the top 10 market. Justin Haley over on BetMGM plus 800. Talked about him earlier to win that group. Pretty much all the same arguments here. 13th place at Iowa, 9th place at Gateway, 17th at Bristol. He's continued to just show strong and be good. I think that we've seen from him on shorter tracks, especially, the ability to do really well. He stood out a lot at places like the Coliseum and things like that. You add this tire deal in there. He ended up with a 17th place at Bristol. That was kind of the coming out party for him starting to do things. That was a tire disaster, right? And he milked it, did well, finished in 17th place. I like that for Haley. 8-1 is a really good value on him. And then over on FanDuel, Todd Gilliland is 7-1 for a top 10. Man, I cannot love this bet anymore. Todd Gilliland, the way he's been running lately has been insane. 10 of the last 11 races, he has been 17th place or better. The one exception, Pocono, where he finished 34th, got caught up in that Kyle Busch wreck. Really nothing he could have done about it. But 10 of the last 11, 17th place or better. And he's 7-1 to just finish inside the top 10. That's pretty crazy to me there. He just coming off a 6th place finish at Indy with a solid run there. He finished 15th place here last spring. That was before the Todd Gilliland that we know now. That was the Todd Gilliland who was about to lose a couple of rides or lose a couple of weeks in his ride and be unsure of his future because they couldn't find the sponsorship before. Now we're to the point where he's signed long-term, the first guy to sign long-term for Front Row. He's the lead guy going forward. And that was 15th before all of this. Now he can get it done. 12th place at New Hampshire, 12th place at Iowa. Very similar tracks to this. 13th place at Martinsville, another short flat. 17th place at Phoenix. He should not be 7-1 for a top 10. One of my more favorite bets on the board as far as longer shots go, for sure, is Todd Gilliland. 7-1. That's over on FanDuel for the top 10. And then the Justin Haley top 10, 8-1 over on BetMGM.
It's like bizarro world that here we are talking about Todd Gilliland in like a positive light. And I'm sure he probably loves it too, because when he goes to bed at night, he's like, man, the NASCAR gambling guys are actually talking good about me. Finally, I've made it. I have made it in life. But listen,
yeah, I'm sure that's his bar.
That should be everybody's bar, in my opinion. But no, listen, and I think it's a good story. It's good for NASCAR when teams like this can actually compete, because it's never fun, to be a Williams and just know that you are going to finish 15th or worse every single week.
Hey, Williams is going to be good soon, Rod.
Oh yeah, they are. Look at, they get themselves a little action. Yeah, look, but it's not fun. It's not fun to watch these guys struggle week after week. And what they used to have the starting parks, right? Just like the car, roll a couple of laps and then park it, because while they made their money, they made more than they would have made in a long time if they wouldn't have run that race. But yeah, it's good for the sport, so I love it. Also good for the sport, drivers that dominate. Well, that's Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, top 3, Cody, plus 240. I think this is on Caesar still, or it might have been on FanDuel. I updated it and I couldn't remember which one it was on, but
I'll look while you talk.
Yes, please do. I think it was on FanDuel because I updated it. But Larson top 3 plus 240. I don't know that you need to sit here and make too strong of a case for Kyle Larson at all. He was top 3 in the last time he was out here in the spring. He won the race in the spring earlier. The fall race, he had a 19th place and a 14th place, but he started on the pole in 3 of the last 6 races on this track. So he's been the fastest car, at least to qualify, since 2021 in the fall. He finished 6th in that particular race in 2021. 5th the next race, 14th, 1, 19th, and 3rd. But I'll point to this too. In that 43 car, he actually won a race in 2017 in the fall. So he won this race in the 42 car. He came the runner-up in the fall race in that 42 car. He's loved this fall race, right? 7th place in 2018 in the 42 car to go along with a 7th place finish in the spring. But 6th place in the 2019 race. his strongest runs on this particular track are usually in the fall. So that's when he shines. Toyotas, they kick everyone's ass in the spring, but it seems like everybody else comes to play in the fall. And for Kyle Larson, it's just been that kind of a magical season for him. Sorry, I'm just getting all sorts of worked up about Kyle Larson.
Rod's getting really choked up by that Kyle Larson. That is on FanDuel, by the way, the plus 240. So
yeah, I knew it.
I'll let you take a drink of your beer there, Rod, and clear your throat. But yeah, I mean, Kyle Larson, it's hard to ever go against Kyle Larson, right? He's the greatest race car driver in the world right now, and we're all very well aware of that. Cashed a lot for us last week at Indy, so I've got no arguments against this.
Yeah, and then I was just going to wrap it up by saying I'll talk about him more in a little bit. So I'll give you the rest of the stats that I was too verklempt to get out after Cody gives out his next bet.
Wow, that was a big word. I don't even know what you said there.
I love it. Well, there's some people that 2 people out there will get that, and that's fine. I live my life knowing that when I make references, nobody in my house usually gets it. So like I feel alone anyways.
There you go. All right, Rod, for me, I'm going to go over to the manufacturer bet. And I feel like we got to get it this week. And I'm going to take Ford as a winning manufacturer at plus 320 over on Caesars. Toyota heavy favorite on this, minus 130. Obviously, they've got the big hitters, right? Denny Hamlin should be good here. Truex should be good here. Bell should be good here. Gibbs can be good here. Bubba's been pretty good here in the past. Reddick, we just talked about him, right? So we'll see how that goes. Chevy's actually a plus 280. The track record here just isn't quite as good. I know Larson Bowman kind of won some recent races, but in general, they've not been as strong. But Ford at plus 310 just really pops out to me because then you don't have to pick which Ford it is. You're getting pretty good value at plus 310, and it gives you different options. Buddy, checking in with Logano. Exactly, Logano. And I don't have to pick if this is going to be a race Logano's good or not, like I tried to do last week. That didn't work out so well for me. But you do get Joey Logano, who's been really fucking good at Richmond, actually. He was on the cutting room floor for my outrights, Rod. I almost picked him again to win, so he probably will win. And this is how I'm going to cover my ass with that. Ryan Blaney, though, he has been just very good in general. Right? He's won 2 of the last 5 races. Should be even more that he's almost won this season between Gateway, Atlanta. He's been strong. Keselowski, you talked about him a little bit ago. He's continually been strong. You get Chris Buescher in here. This also tosses in a wild card. What if a Josh Berry gets it done on strategy and the short track prowess? What if Chase Briscoe shows up with his short flat track? You're covered through all these guys. You don't have to pick which one you're going to bet on. I think plus 310 is a really good number for guys that are capable of getting it done. And we've seen Ford has really figured things out. They've gotten it done here lately. They continue to be faster, continue to be better. And really, it could be any of the Fords because they just kind of all have that, chance to get it done. And this also accounts for that complete wild card of the tire strategy, the wet weather tires, whatever strategy gets thrown. And that's the other thing too. Like, what if they decide, Rod, well, we can't use the option tires because we need to use the wet weather package, but we're going to let you guys decide. So you go out there and run, and when you want to change the tires, you change the tires. Like, there could be some crazy shit that gets thrown in here. Rain's coming from the deal, from the leftovers from the hurricane or whatever, could all fuck with everything too. So I think having this kind of insurance at a bigger number, plus 310, when you've got this many guys who can get it done, I like that.
I almost feel like at this point, because Ford continues to be the last manufacturer. I mean, they're always giving them the best odds to win this race. And so it almost feels like at some point you should just take this because with guys like,
we talked, I think it was Shady who had brought it up a couple of weeks ago. Like, do you just take them every week? And I think a lot of times if you're getting a bigger number like this, and we employed that strategy a couple of years ago, we were getting them at plus 425, plus 450. Kept betting it. Then you started hitting. I think you hit that on Harvick 2 weeks back to back, Richmond and Michigan, and some other stuff. Like you're starting to get too big of a number for a manufacturer that's been proving they can get it done. We're not at the point early in the season where Ford hadn't won in any of the top 3 series for weeks and weeks, and it's like, God, what the fuck's going on with Ford? Like, we're long past all that.
Yeah, we definitely are. Nico's wanting nothing for Elliott. Qualified second, finished 5th at Richmond earlier this year. Liked him at Richmond, one of his best track. Look, Nico, the thing is that we love drivers, right? But the books love drivers too. And sometimes trying to find
even more so, I feel that way about Martin Truex. I wanted to talk about Martin Truex so badly, but there's not really any great ways to get in on him. The Elliott, I don't love top threes. That's my problem.
Well, top three
for
because
Elliott,
you've got to. It's either bet an outright or bet a top 5.
right?
Yeah.
And there's very few cases where I like to go top 3. I did today with Denny Hamlin, but plus 450 for Elliott. That could be attractive. I could see the case for that. The top 5 plus 190 maybe, but just compared to a lot of this other stuff I found, just hard to find a way to get in on him. And same thing with Martin Truex. That's why it's good too to listen to the fantasy shows later in the week, because that's probably when we're going to try to find a way to bring up Elliott and bring up Truex, because they're going to be good here. We expect those guys to be good. It's just when it comes to again, this is a betting show, right? So we're trying to find the numbers and make it in ways that work. That's why a lot of weeks we don't talk about Larson, even though he's the favorite and he should be the best guy, right? Because sometimes it is hard to talk about him, but this week you're getting a better number. That's when you pounce on him. So, I think that the case can be made there.
Indeed. All right. Well, Len, we talk about Fords and Toyotas being good on this track. I'm going to take the number of Chevys on the inside the top 10. Caesars is giving us this at 3.5 is the number. I'm going to take under. So less than 3.5 Chevys inside of the top 10 plus 110. Seems counterintuitive, right? When you think Elliott's going to be good, when you think Larson's going to be good, but outside of that, look, this spring, only 3 Chevys in the top 5. It was Larson, it was Elliott, it was Bowman, right? Byron, not Bowman. 3 of the 4 Hendrick drivers were the only 3. And then you had to go all the way down to 15th for the next best Chevy, and that was Ross Chastain. Alex Bowman was at 17th, so there was only 3 in there. You go back to the 2023 Cookout 400. You want to guess how many Chevys there were in that one? 2. One was named Kyle Busch. The other was Austin Dillon. 2 Childress racers. Well, guess who's not in a Chevy anymore? Oh, I guess Busch is in a Chevy, but even still, Busch is not in a car at all. But I don't think Busch is going to get. I don't know. You want him as a top 5, but even still, it's kind of tough. But anyways, those 2 were the only 2 Chevys inside of the top 10 in that case. And then in 2023 in the spring, there actually were 4, but there was Larson, there was Barry, there was Chastain, and there was Bowman. Barry was driving the 9 at the time. Guess what? Barry's not driving this season, the 9. So he's going to be in a Ford when he crosses the finish line inside of the top 5, like Cody wants him to be. So that will take away a Chevy right there. But the next best Chevy after that was Kyle Busch in 14th. In 2022, there was only 2, or actually 1 Chevy inside of the top 10. That was Chase Elliott in 5th place. The next best one was William Byron in 11th. After that, it was Kyle Larson in 14th. So I'm only doing the next gen era. So the 2022 spring race, there was only 4. There was 4 inside of the top 10. Byron was there, Larson was there, Bowman was there, and then Austin Dillon was in 10th place after starting 25th. Don't think Austin Dillon's going to get there in the top 10 this week. So in the next gen era, Chevys have not necessarily put a ton of cars inside of the top 10. Cody said it a lot of times in life. There are way more Chevys out there than there are any other car, but this track has not been kind to them.
Man, like every time I say that too, then I think about it, and it's like we talked about this last week when we were talking about the championship futures and should you bet on Chevy? Like, it's really not that top heavy with the Chevy. You have the 4 Hendrick cars, right? And they're kind of a class in their own, but getting all 4 to all finish inside the top 10 in the same week it can be a challenge, right? And then outside of that, like Ross Chastain, now he has been good on the shorter, flatter tracks. Like another guy I wanted to talk about today, but couldn't find a way that I loved him. Honorary shout out to 10-1 top Chevy. I considered it, but not big enough. Suarez, Kyle Busch, like I made a case for him, but it's a longer shot case, right? Has he run in the top 10 most weeks? No. Then you're all the way down to Carson Hocevar, who can get a top 10 for you, but it doesn't happen that often. Stenhouse, LaJoie, like there's not really that. Yeah, it feels like, there's just so many Chevys. Like it's not that top heavy in the Chevy market, really, honestly.
They're trying to kill you with volume is really what they're trying
especially right now too, where like Trackhouse isn't, it's not the Trackhouse we saw last year where Chastain was kind of running up front, or even the last couple of years where he had those runs up front and Kyle Busch was winning 3 races. Like then, Chevy looks a lot more attractive at that point because you've got a bunch of cars up front. But right now it's kind of 2 or 3 Hendrick cars depending on the week. So I do like this. I was actually looking at this one as well, so I'm kind of glad that you put it in there.
Indeed. All right. Well, then all that's left is to get to the winners. Cody, who is going to win this race?
Yeah. If you want to bet on Denny Hamlin, I would do it sooner rather than later. FanDuel has him at 6-1. He's plus 300 on some books, Rod. Plus 300. You can get twice the number over on FanDuel. A couple places got him at 5-1 as well, but get in on this sooner rather than later. That number is not going to stick around as people trickle back in from vacation and start placing their bets this coming week. So get ahead of the game. Denny Hamlin at 6-1. Look, I read off all the stats earlier. Denny Hamlin, really fucking good at Richmond, really fucking good on short flats. He's in a Gibbs Toyota. Gibbs cars are good here. Toyotas are good here. That's all you need to know. This was the one where I went back and forth. So same thing here where FanDuel just has a way bigger number than everywhere else. I don't know if FanDuel's sleeping a little bit or if they're just trying to draw in some action or what, but it's working because go over to FanDuel, 13-1 for Ryan Blaney. He's as low as 8-1 in some other places. That's such a massive difference in an outright. I went back and forth between Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. So you might want to bet Joey Logano since I didn't pick him. But Ryan Blaney at 13-1 on FanDuel. Now, this is similar to your Reddit case. Not really that great here at Richmond. Although he was 7th, he had to have a 7th place finish here in 2022. He led 128 laps that day, but he's been on fire lately. 2 wins in the last 5 races. He has 5 top 7 finishes in the last 7 races. That's pretty good. He was 3rd at Indy this most recently, won at Pocono. He won at Iowa, very similar track to this. 5th at Martinsville, a similar track to this. 5th at Phoenix, a similar track to this. Didn't win Phoenix, but won the championship at Phoenix by finishing 2nd last fall, right? So he's been good here. We talked about Ford earlier. I like Ryan Blaney. I think 13-1 is a good enough number for a guy that's been on fire like Blaney has lately. Yeah, he's got, what does he have, 2 or 3 wins now, but he could have a lot more if he'd not run out of gas at Gateway, if he'd have been an inch closer at Atlanta, right? He was in that photo finish. All of those things. We could be talking about this massive season for the defending champion of the sport in Ryan Blaney. 13-1 is disrespectful over on FanDuel. Get in on that early. And then, because I like the pain, Rod, Kyle Busch, 31-1 over on FanDuel. Laid out the case earlier, right? I think that Kyle Busch is in there. Maybe he got rid of the nasty spells while he was overseas during this break, but he can get it done. I think they're going to be trying to gamble, right? They're out of the points race now. He's not going to get in on points. Got a couple of really good tracks and good opportunities coming up for him. Richmond is one of those. Darlington for sure is going to be circled. Daytona, of course, is circled for everyone. But Richmond is a place where he could get it done. You get the extra practice time. So huge for him. Hopefully he's been spending some extra time in the sim, getting up to this, leading up to it, getting things right. The window's closing on Kyle Busch making the playoffs. My hope is not gone. I talked about that when we placed another bet on him to win the championship. So go back and listen to that episode. Those are still good, of course. But 31-1, it's a long shot for a reason. But Kyle Busch could get it done and just shock the world. Boy, what a story that would be. Give me Kyle Busch, 31-1. Ryan Blaney, 13-1. And Denny Hamlin at 6-1.
Speaking of shock, his chakras, he must have had to go and clean his chakras to get all the bad juju out of his system. And look, nobody probably needed that break more than him. I mean, there's people that need time away, and then there's people that really need time away. So I hope to see the resurgence of KFB because, again, it's good for the sport. I'm going to continue to say that until people tell me to stop. So please tell me to stop so I can stop saying it. All right. My one bullet is Kyle Larson. 7-1 on FanDuel. What? I think he was like +4 something on Caesar or +650 on Caesars is what he was. But even
I saw him at +4 something. So it's so crazy
all over
how short some of these books have them. So again, like we're not FanDuel sponsored or anything, but their odds are just really good this week, at least early. So go get over there and get in on them early.
Yeah, 7-1 for Kyle Larson. By the way, FanDuel, if you really do want to sponsor us, I have no qualms about that.
I love your book, clearly. So there you
go. Just won at Indy, obviously. Back-to-back wins are tough. I get it, but won at Indy. He's got 4 wins on the season, 11 top 10s. Won at Kansas, 2nd at Dover. He started on the pole at Richmond here in the spring. led 144 laps before finishing third. Probably should have won that race. He had 3 poles in a row: Richmond, Martinsville, Texas. Second place finish at Martinsville to follow up that third place at Richmond. One in Vegas. I don't know how much more I have to say about Kyle Larson, because I know it seems like well, duh, Rod. It's easy to say you could bet on Kyle Larson. I know, but I'm telling you to bet him at 7-1. That's really what I'm putting at. It doesn't matter if you put the bet on Kyle Larson, but 7-1.
That's the same reason I gave him out last week last 3 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, 4 months ago at the Brickyard 400, because the best driver in the world shouldn't be this disrespected on the number. And I went with Denny because he's 6-1, and man, he's just so fucking good here. But Larson's been good here as well, and he can get it done. He's fast. He's good. Maybe some of these guys got rust traveling overseas. Kyle Larson's been tearing it up in the sprint car world and running dirt tracks every single night. So there's no rust there. He's keeping it fine tuned and ready to go this weekend.
Well, the reason I took Larson is because you already took Denny. So, I mean, that was kind of like I had
to beat me to Denny. I'd have probably took Larson. So
that's what
that tells you what you need to know. So. And you're still again, get these early while you're still getting good numbers. You can take both Denny at 6-1 and Larson at 7-1, and it's not a bad deal. Now you get down to 4-1. It's a lot harder to bet both of them, or even one of them, honestly, because so many things can go wrong. But you're getting the best two at it right now, today, in 2 of the best cars. It's just sometimes you don't need to overthink it. Like, yeah, that's the odd. Well, I could have chose to bet those guys. Well, yeah, sure, you could have. Then don't listen. Who cares? But it's the numbers are good, and that's the point, right? And it all lines up here. So, yeah, I like it.
What I love, before we start to go over these, I know we're running a lot long today, but who cares? It's our first week back of picking.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the people who are like, well, I didn't need you to tell me to bet Kyle Larson. And then like when Kyle Larson doesn't win, then it's like, well, we told you to bet a couple other people as well, but like, well, I didn't need you to tell me to bet Kyle Larson. That's fine. We don't care. We know that, but do you want to win or do you want to have fun? What is your goal? Like, if I'm giving you Ricky Stenhouse every week to win a race, that's irresponsible. I'm trying to set you up for success. And if you don't need me to tell you that Kyle Larson is going to win a race, that's fine. And just do it yourself. But at the same time, I'd like to think that we give you a little more than just Kyle Larson's going to win this race. So there, that's for those of you out there who've made it this far, who hate us.
Well said, Rod. Well said.
Thank you. Get out your pen and paper for those of you that's sticking around. And for those of you on YouTube, graphics back again. Hey, the break gave me a little bit of time to streamline how to do this. So gotta love it. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our bets for this Cookout 400 at the Richmond Raceway. Cody started you off with Dennis Hamlin as a top 3 car at plus 170 over on FanDuel. I said young Noah Gragson in the 10 car would be a top 10 car at 7-1 over on FanDuel. Cody said that Justin Haley would be the winner of Group D over on Caesars at plus 310. I said that both Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher would be inside the top 10 at plus 150. Cody gave you Josh Berry as a top 5 car at 4-1 over on BetMGM, and Kyle Busch as a top 5 car at 4-1 over on BetMGM. I said Tyler Reddick would be a top 5 car at plus 220 over on FanDuel. Cody also added Justin Haley as a top 10 car at 8-1 on BetMGM, and Todd Gilliland is a top 10 car at 7-1 on FanDuel. I added Kyle Larson as a top 3 car at plus 240 on FanDuel. Cody said that Ford would be the winning manufacturer at plus 310 over on Caesars. I said that there would be less than 3.5 Chevys inside of the top 10 at plus 110. Cody said that Dennis Hamlin at 6-1, Ryan Blaney at 13-1, and Kyle Busch at 31-1, all on FanDuel would be the winners. I tossed in Kyle Larson at 7-1 to win the Cookout 400 at the Richmond Raceway. Back to racing, baby.
Back to racing. It's back. Excited. Fun to do this on a Monday, too. Get it done nice and early. If you missed it at the top of the show, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be live around, what time did we decide? 5 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock Pacific time, live here on the YouTube. It's just going to be an AMA show. Get in your questions, racing related. Doesn't necessarily have to be racing related. We're going to answer questions, sit back, probably have have an alcoholic beverage. Maybe it might be a little early for you, depending on what you got going on. But
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, kids.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So it will be 5 o'clock Eastern time. See, that's how you can remember. So join us. Get your questions in. If you got bets you want, we didn't cover today, or guys we didn't get to talk about, drop in the questions for us. If you're not going to make it to the live show, put them in the Discord, hit us up on the X, whatever it is. Well, fielding the questions, answering the questions, going to have a little fun before we finish out the week with Truck Series. They're still going to be in action. And then we'll, of course, have our Truck Series and our Cup Series DFS shows stand alone to get to focus on both series.
The CFL Gambling Podcast has their big giganto parlay thing. We may just put together one for fun at the end of that. Let's put together a nice little parlay. We'll figure
parlays. That's twist my arm, Rod. I guess I'll do it if I have to.
Hey, I mean, look, it's a great way to end it, right? And then we can all try to see. Maybe we can find somebody to place that bet for us, and we can see if all of us in that AMA can win a little bit of something. So I don't know. I'm thinking out the box.
I think, gosh, is somebody tell me, is betting legal in Massachusetts? I think it is. I'm going to be in Massachusetts this weekend. So I'll be placing whatever parlay we come up with.
Beautiful. There you go. All right. I love it. All right. Well then, Cody, as we sail off into the sunset for this early Cup episode, let everyone know where they can find you on social media and where they can put those questions in for our AMA tomorrow.
Yeah, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Hit us up on the X as well at NASCAR Gambling. If you got questions, drop them over there. Drop them in the Discord. DM them to one of us. We'll get your questions answered. Or join us live tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time, over on the YouTube at NASCAR Gambling. Give us that the follow over on the YouTube. The bosses love that, and we appreciate it. Thanks to the chat. Hopping tonight. Love to see it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for questions, and then later in the week for Truck Series.
It's good to be back doing what we do best, and that's giving out the picks. So, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bot, everything I got going on. I'm not conforming anymore. It's Twitter. It will always be Twitter. I had my fun with X, but it's definitely just Twitter. So follow me there at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on. Boys of the Back Road kicking it back up again, and a little new adventure. So check that out as well. We'll be back tomorrow. AMA, have some fun with you guys. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.